22, Hitman 23. Hitman 23, 22, go ahead. Roger, hey, I got two unknowns moving along this berm that's over here to our right side. I can't see what they got going on, but they're acting kind of funny. Roger, checking. Yeah, you guys should be able to get...
What's going on, guys? Jared with 2 Alpha Solutions. Today I wanted to talk to you about the TRI PRC-152. I'm sure there's thousands of you, if not tens of thousands of you, that have this radio that are just completely frustrated with it. You couldn't get it to work, you couldn't get it to talk to your buddy, you couldn't hear your buddy on it, so on and so forth. This radio is built like a tank. It's a very functional radio. It's a clone of the actual real PRC-152. So if you were in the military and used the actual real one from Harris, and then you got one of these thinking it was going to be the same thing, and you realized you were completely wrong about it, I'm going to show you how to program this radio, how to use it, how to get it set up right, so it's a functional radio and take some of that frustration away from you guys. So, like I said, this is a clone of the real thing, of the real PRC-152 made by Harris. This one's made by Triumph Industries, which I believe is a China. It is not the Baofeng version, and it is not the TCA version. There's 2 other versions of this radio out there. The Baofeng version, I believe, can be programmed with chirp. The TCA version, I believe, can be. This one cannot be programmed by a computer or a laptop. Not that I know of. Chirp software does not do it. RT System software does not do it, unless they've come out with something in the past couple days. This radio cannot be programmed with a computer. It has to be done through the front panel of the radio itself, and through the menus, the internal menus of this radio. When you first get this radio, it's going to come with this this antenna on it. It's a rubber ducky antenna. It's garbage. Get rid of it. It sucks. It's a piece of shit. Get yourself a real antenna. This is 136 megahertz to 480 megahertz antenna, and it's a dual band antenna, just like the rubber ducky was, but this one's actually functional and it works. So get rid of the first one, that rubber duck, throw it away. It's a piece of shit. So let's dive into it, and we're going to go into the keypad functions of it, and then dive into the internal menu functions of it. And at the end of the series, we'll probably do a video on some accessories that are on it, that you can get for it as well. So stand by, guys. Alright, guys, let's dive into this radio here. So this radio, I'm going to have to get my notes here too so I can read it off. This radio is actually a tri-band radio. It does 3 bands. The first band is 136 megahertz to 176 megahertz, which includes the 2 meter amateur radio band. The mystery band that's in this radio is 220 megahertz to 250 megahertz, which includes the 220 amateur radio band. And then it also does 400 megahertz to 490, which is UHF, which includes the 70 centimeter band for amateur radio. It will also do receive only on the air bands from 106 megahertz to 136 megahertz, and it also will receive FM broadcast like your regular car radio will. And I'll show you how to get into all that. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to look at the top of the radio here. Always this bottom switch that's underneath the volume control, always make sure it's on PT for push to talk. LD and CT we'll get into later on. This port right here is a TNC connector. That is for your antenna. You can put the rubber duck antenna that's a piece of crap that came with the radio on there. You can get one of those foldable antennas to put on there, and you can also get an antenna line extension kit. So you could put the antenna somewhere else on your body, on your plate carrier, in your backpack, wherever. This connection is a 6-pin NATO connector. You can connect a handset to it, and also a push-to-talk switch. You can connect this radio to your ear pro if it has a comms unit for it. On the side of the radio here, this connector, it is used, but it's not used for the programming of the radio. That is for the external keypad display, the KDU. If we come over here to the other side of the radio, it's not showing up very well. There we go. The big button right here, that's your push to talk button. That's where all the magic happens, to send your voice out over the airwaves. This up and down button right here at the top, that can be set up to use as a volume control for the radio. It has to be set up internally in the menus to be able to use it that way. Otherwise, you just use the top button to control your volume. The bottom button here, that is your AB switch, to switch between your top frequency or your bottom frequency, or your top channel group or your bottom channel group, however you have it set up. And if you push it in and hold it, it opens the squelch. So you can hear, if you have a PL tone enabled for receive, and you can see that somebody's talking but you can't hear them, you can hold that button in. It'll disable the PL tone, open up the squelch to where you can hear everything that's being transmitted out over the airwaves. This is an FM radio, meaning that whenever you talk, you're talking in the FM mode. It does not do sideband or data modes or anything like that. No CW, no RTTY. Let's see. The battery is a 12.6 volt battery pack that's on here. So that basically means you can take this radio or the battery off the radio, and if you know the pins, which one's positive and negative on there, you could actually build something to where you have this connected to an external battery pack, to a vehicle, and power it that way, to a power supply, something like that. It has low, medium, and high power. I'm not sure of the wattage rate off, but we'll get into that. The specifications say that high power is 10 watts. The middle range of the power setting is 5 watts, and low power is 1 watt. I don't know how accurate that is. Hopefully I can test that and let you know if that's accurate or not. It's really about all that you really need to know. Everything else is just technical stuff. So yeah, that's about it for that part. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the keypad function. These are called fast keys. Grab my other notes here. All right, so we're going to get into the keypad functions of this radio. So these are called fast keys. It's basically so you don't have to go directly into the menu settings to get some of the functions of the radio that are most commonly used. The first one, and it's not going to show up yet because I don't have channels programmed into this radio just yet, but if you hit enter, menu comes up. So let me clear back out. So you hit enter and 1. See where it says no CCH, that means no channels. That means there's no channels programmed into this radio right now. If there was a channel programmed in, that would take you to the channel mode on the top frequency there. And you could leave the bottom as VFO, which is a variable frequency, where you could directly enter the frequency into it without channels. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, so if you want to switch between channel mode and VFO mode, you hit enter 1. And right now it's not going to go to channel mode because I don't have any channels programmed in. So we're going to... It can be a little frustrating. So we're back in the VFO mode on both the top frequency and the bottom frequency. This radio is completely reset. I did a factory reset on it, so we're starting from scratch on this radio. The next function is enter, which brings up menu, and 2. So what that does is that turns your backlight off on the display. So now the only time the backlight will come on is if you hit a button, say to change channel, change frequency, whatever. In about 12 seconds it'll shut off. There it goes. So if you want the display on all the time, just hit enter 2 and the display should stay on. So we'll give it about 10-15 seconds here and see what it does. Alright, looks like it's staying on. So let's move on down. So enter, which I'm going to call menu. So if you hear me say menu, that's what I'm referring to as the ENT, enter. So because it takes you to menu. So we're going to do menu, enter 3. This takes you into the air band frequencies, 106 to 136 megahertz. So the left and right arrow key, the right arrow key is down. And the left arrow key goes up. So, and you should be able to directly enter a frequency in. So if you want to go to the airband emergency locator frequency, which is 121,500, that's the aircraft emergency location beacon frequency. That's the emergency frequency for airband. So if a plane crashes, they have their little black box and an ELT in the aircraft. If it goes off, it sounds like a siren that's being transmitted over the airwaves. You can program your local airport into there, your ground control. You just have to look up the frequencies for your airport or whatever airband. You cannot transmit on these frequencies, so if you go to transmit, it's going to revert you right back to whatever frequency or channel you were on to begin with. All right, so then it takes you back down, back to the airband. So we're going to go. There we go. We'll go back to regular VFO mode there. All right, so we're going to go to Keypad 4, which is your FM radio. You know. There we go. So now it'll stay. So we're going to go Keypad 4. And this is your regular FM broadcast frequencies. just like that's in your car radio. Let's see, my local one is, let's see if it'll let me enter. Nope. I don't have an antenna on it either, so it's not going to receive anything. But that is your FM broadcast band right there. Enter 4. So if you hit enter again, it takes you right back to VFO mode. Alright, number 5 is a scan function. Oh, there we go. We'll go to clear. So enter 5 is scan. So if you're in VFO mode, it'll scan through each individual frequency, however you have it set up, whether you have it in 5 kilohertz steps or 2.5 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz, 12.5, so on. So if I think it goes up to 50 kilohertz. So right now we're scanning through the amateur radio, 2-meter amateur radio band. It's not super fast. You can also do the scan if you have channels programmed into the radio. And to stop it, you just hit the enter, or you can hit the clear button and it stops the scan. Alright, let's go down to number 6. So enter 6. So this one does not do anything that I can tell. So according to the menu, or I'm sorry, to the owner's manual, single press enter in the menu to choose state. Press 6 numeric keys again. So there's your Chinglish for you. So enter 6, as of right now, does not do anything. So if there's another setting in the radio that we haven't got, that we'll get into later on, maybe once a setting is in place, maybe the enter 6 fast key will do something at that point. All right, let's go down to number 7. So enter 7, and you can see right here that it's changing your power level. So enter 7 again, goes to middle. Enter 7 again, goes to high power. So enter 7 low, enter 7 middle, enter 7 high power. So 10 watts, 5 watts, 1 watt. Alright, so number 8. This is your frequency step. So if you want to go to, if you want splinter frequencies is what they call it. Some of the GMRS frequencies have 5 digits, like 467, 7125. You're going to want the 2.5 kilohertz step enabled, and not, let me see, there we go, hit the up and down on the right side here. So if you want the 462 7125, you want this to be at 2.5 kilohertz. That's what the K means, kilohertz. If you're not worried about the splinter frequencies, you could set it the 5 kilohertz. There's 6.25, 10 kilohertz, 12.5, and 25 kilohertz. That's a big step. So if you have it set anything higher than 5 kilohertz, it goes up to 50 kilohertz as well. That's a huge step. So if you have it set anywhere higher than 5, you're going to be missing some channels that you're not going to be able to enter directly into the keypad. So my suggestion would be to put it at 5 kilohertz or at 2.5 kilohertz. And you hit enter to save it. So if you wanted to go to 5 kilohertz, step it up to 5, and then hit the enter button again to set it into it. So all right, we'll leave it there at 5 kilohertz. So you can see how it's stepping up, 370, 365, 360. So now we'll go set that to 2.5 kilohertz. Alright, now you can see that it's stepping down 2.5 kilohertz at a time. 35,250, 3,500, 3,475, 3,450. So my suggestion, either 2.5 kilohertz or 5 kilohertz. Either way. So I usually keep it at 2.5 just so I can put those splinter frequencies in if I need to. And we'll enter that in there. So enter 9, function 9 of the keypad. Alright, you can see this little arrow here reversed itself. So what that is for is if you are on a repeater and you want to see what your transmitting frequency is, you would hit enter 9, and that would tell you the transmit frequency that you have programmed in. And we're going to get into the offsets of frequencies for repeater functions and whatnot in a future video here. So just keep that in mind. So if you want to see the actual frequency you're transmitting on, and it's different, especially for amateur radio, it's different for different bands. So if you're on 2 meter band, it's either going to be plus or minus 600 kilohertz. If you're on the UHF band, it's going to be plus or minus 5 megahertz. And that's going to be very important later on when we start programming repeaters into this radio. So we're going to... Don't know why it won't. Don't know why it won't go back, so that's one of the frustrating things with this radio. So we'll just turn it off and back on, and it's back to your regular receive frequency. So whenever you would transmit it, probably would not show your transmit frequency. It will just stay on that frequency. We'll verify that later on, like I said, when we start doing the repeater stuff on it. And then enter 0. This is your squelch setting. Oh, you got to use these buttons over here. So you're not going to hear the squelch until you have it set. So I usually set it around 4. You set it lower. If you set it at 3 or 2, that's getting pretty close to the threshold of open squelch, to where you hear the static all the time. And if you get a little bit of an interference or something that's coming in, it's going to continuously break that squelch, and it gets really annoying. So I usually set it at 4. If you're in a high interference area where you're getting a lot of interference coming into your radio that's causing your squelch to open up, you can turn this up. Let's see, and it goes up to setting 9, and it resets at 0. So that's what SQ 1 through, or 0 through 9 is. So setting 1, so that's not quite open squelch. And there you can see that it's open squelch now. So I usually, like I said, I usually keep mine set at squelch setting 4. So that's the functions of the keypad and the fast keys. Those are some of the main functions of the radio that you're going to use. If I set the radio up the way I would want some of those keys to do some other functions, such as repeater offsets and PL tones. But being that there is no programming software out there for this radio, you cannot use Chirp or RT System software, and I don't believe there are any other software programs out there that will program this radio. So if I'm wrong, put it in the comments below and let me know. But I don't believe there is. Everything has to be done through the front panel. So I think that's good for this video here. The next video, we're going to go into the actual menus, where you have your CT/CSS, your digital coded squelch, just all the different menus, DTMFs. There's the power level again, wideband versus narrowband, compression, your audio compression. I think SR/MR is something with the cipher or cryptology of the radio. There's your shift, offset, step channels, channel delete. You can turn your beep on and off. You can make this radio ring, I believe, and that's why I need bring another radio in that's just like this to see if I can get it set to alert you. Somebody can be on the other, somewhere else with another radio, hit a certain code on here with your, DTMF tones, and open your radio and send you an alert on your radio. Ring, your backlight again, timeout timer, tone, DTMF, your squelch again, your repeat. You can set this radio to be a crossband repeater, which is kind of cool. So you can actually be a repeater yourself with this radio, and then have two people on either side doing some crossband repeat. And we're going to play with that too. DTMF, that's an identifier. Your volume switch, that's where you switch between the potentiometer at the top for your volume control, or for here. Your speaker, since they don't know how to spell speaker in China. The type of microphone, which is going to be important when you start putting external microphones on this radio. And then your factory reset. So if you have a bunch of crap in your radio and you just want to completely start over, you can go in there and reset it. And we're not going to do that today. And it goes back to the beginning. So there are actually 33 different menus in here. And we're going to go through each one of those menus and show you how to set them up, and get this radio a little bit more functional for you, so you're not so frustrated with it. All right, guys, that's it. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care and be safe.